So welcome, our brilliant and beloved colleague Raksha. We so appreciate your consistent leadership, solidarity, and all that you do for so many. And as always at Setsi, we begin by giving thanks to the original stewards of the various lands we're on. We give thanks to all our ancestors, all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We give thanks to all our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So Raksha, could you please introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers and share a bit about your remarkable work?
What a beautiful opening in prayer and introduction. I absolutely salute that in you. I'm happy to be here. I'm Raksha Manaktala Bhayana, and I live and work in Toronto. I'm the daughter of a diplomat, so travel is my DNA. My dream is to travel a lot more, and Antarctica is a destination for me. I'm married with 2 adult children. In terms of my career, it spans both the nonprofit and for-profit sectors. I have currently a portfolio job, our foundation, managing investments, and board governance. I have been and continue to be involved in healthcare, nonprofit, and private sector organizations. For example, TELUS Community Advisory, UNICEF, United Way, and Canadian Mental Health Association. What excites me right now most is our work at the foundation. We have 2 tracks. The first one is awards for extraordinary performance in partnership with United Ways across Canada. And the second track is advocacy. We have given in our 17 years close to 16 awards to about 1,600 professionals across Canada. And so, people ask me the question, why did you get into the awards? So it's interesting, the impetus came when I left the nonprofit sector and went into the business sector. And I was just astounded at the number of awards, incentives, bonuses given for outstanding performance. And when I left, which is the early 2000s, there were few, if any, awards for the nonprofit sector. So when we had an opportunity to have set up our foundation, it was clear to me what the niche should be, and it should be in terms of awards. So we've been doing that since 2007. What's our second track? It's advocacy, and that came about because I was invited to present at the Senate Committee for the Charitable Sector. And at that time, that was 2018. And I made a recommendation that we have a Canada Day to recognize the nonprofit sector. And at that time, I was told that there was so much controversy within the Senate that I was better off to start provincially and then work my way up, federally. So that's what I did. And so we've been running advocacy campaigns focused on recognition of the significant economic and social contributions of the sector in partnership with United Ways and provincial nonprofit associations. So this has led to the creation of a day or a week of recognition for the nonprofit sector by the governments of Nova Scotia, Ontario, and last October, British Columbia. Now we are, efforts are underway to create a Canada Day of Appreciation for the nonprofit sector with major national partners and the endorsement of key corporates. We look forward to support from people watching. Please consider signing our petition. It's on our website, BhayanaFoundation.org.
That's incredible.
Sorry, that was a long response.
No, that was exactly what we needed. Since the day we met, I just always appreciate the remarkable authenticity you bring to this work, and the fact that your organization amplifies those usually those unsung heroes, but also galvanizes multiple ecosystems and sectors to acknowledge essential supports and services. I just recently heard from a colleague that the charitable nonprofits, the nonprofit sector, Stats Canada came out with a report talking about a 46% increase in demand on services, but only a 6% increase in funding. Think about that chasm and that gap. So
Yeah.
I think that the work that you're doing is so important. And once again, I commend you, and I really appeal to our listeners and viewers to go on the Bhayana websites, and I'll make sure that we put it into
Thank you.
into the comments and into the video, to ensure that folks have direct access to the websites and support the petition, support and endorse all your campaigns and your work in general. And once again, I just appreciate your leadership and all that you do for so many. So my next question is, what's inspiring you right now? What has you curious, or what's keeping you up at night?
I think what inspires me the most is the people I meet and work with, our advocacy partners, and probably most of all, the professional staff I meet. I do go to all the award ceremonies across Canada, and I have an opportunity to spend some time with the award recipients. And what is amazing is, I mean, many of them cry and are really so humbled, they're just often speechless in terms of getting actually recognized, because they're not used to it. And so it's really the staff and their commitment, and the stories of personal sacrifice and their commitment are really touching. And I think the other thing is that so few people know that the sector contributes 8% to the economy every year, which is more than retail, auto, mining. Okay. And the social contribution we're just beginning to measure. So, that is really what our foundation wants to get across to people, and for people to know that. I want to share two quick stories about, this is what excites me. This is what, why why our foundation works as hard as it does to make that known to people. Young Black male working as a part-time seasonal worker at a social center for teens with developmental disabilities. Note, he's a part-time seasonal worker. He comes to a realization, and the realization is that the teens graduating from high school at the center were really disappointed, because they couldn't go to a prom like most of their peers, because they didn't have money for a limo. So he takes $600 of his own money and he rents a limo to normalize their graduation experience. And, I have pictures, and, he's picking up kids from wheelchairs, putting them in this beautiful pink limo, and their smiles are from, ear to ear. The other story is of a young entrepreneur who received an award, who came to the realization about the lack of internet access for low-income Nova Scotians during COVID, just by chance, because he had a roundtable, which was, business, as well as a nonprofit and community residents, to talk about problems in the community. And once COVID hit, everybody was on Zoom, but guess who wasn't? The residents. And so he managed to secure free internet access for them. Then he expanded it to the immediate geographic area, and now it expands to all of Nova Scotia. He's working on that. He's gotten a federal grant. I mean, that's the kind of entrepreneurial activity that's happening. And the foundation's advocacy partners have also been phenomenal in their support.
That's incredible, and I love when folks are able to center stories, because storytelling is, I think, one of the most important ways to share information. So I think most people are people of oral tradition, and those are remarkable stories of leadership and tenacity and resilience, and the courage to be seen and heard. So once again, I appreciate your leadership. So my next question, what challenges and barriers do you and your colleagues face? And what are some of the approaches you're taking to overcome some of these challenges and barriers?
Okay, so there have been challenges from the inception. So the question was, who should we form partnerships with in terms of organizations? That was a challenge. Persuading people about the value of the advocacy for the sector. Engaging the corporate sector, because they assumed that we wanted money. So what we started doing was saying, put a very in caps, we are not asking for donations. We are simply asking for your endorsement. That this sector is of value and a value to Canadians and to you. I think the other thing is that because this has been going on for a few years, the advocacy in particular, keeping the momentum going amongst partners and endorsers. Because over time now, right now we're focusing on the Canada Day, and there are many blips in between getting, we want to have all the parties on side, and it does take time, all the political parties, I mean. So it does take time. But what helps each time, helps our team reignite the motivation is we have an award ceremony, and we hear these incredible stories about how these people are making things happen for individuals and communities, and it just reignites, and they work out of the limelight and they're doing things, so that reignites. So it's sort of like, a circular thing. You sort of feel down, but then, there's an award ceremony happening in Calgary or in the GTA, and, get excited again.
Ashe. So my second last question, what is your ultimate goal? And what does success look like and feel like to you and your colleagues?
I think we definitely would like to have the Canada Day and a celebration as there's the three governments are doing, led by the government, and acknowledging fully. But is that the end goal? No, that is the first step to really ensuring that the nonprofit sector has esteem by the public, similar to those who sell products and services, that people helping people is as valuable, maybe more valuable than people who sell products and services. It's not that people who sell products and services are not valuable. They are valuable, but there's very little esteem that's given to the nonprofit sector and the value that they provide to society. So the esteem is very important. And the third is obviously the salaries are really low. The working environments need to be improved, the benefits. So I'm hoping we're hoping that as there's more awareness, there's understanding that people need a living wage if they're working in this sector. And they need to be able to support families. We have data that says that young people are not going into the nonprofit sector because they can't raise a family. So this is all a platform to really be able to advocate, as ONN and other provincial organizations have, for decent work and decent work environments, so we can retain good qualified staff, because our staff in the nonprofit sector, for the most part, are more highly qualified educationally than those in the private sector. That's a well-known fact, but they're paid much lower, of course.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I just appreciate your candor and your leadership. So my last question, do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action for our listeners and our viewers?
I just want to say that our sector is really not fully understood. And a lot of that is because we don't have the resources to talk about it, to market it, and so forth. The level of creativity and innovation that is going on right now in the sector, some of it spurred by the higher demand and post-COVID, because many nonprofits will no longer exist. There are nonprofit organizations, small ones, that are coming and to larger ones and saying, take us over, we can't manage anymore. On the other hand, there are organizations that are merging, like the 6 United Ways in BC have merged. And similarly in Atlantic Canada, they're coming together. So things are happening. Even more creative stuff is happening in terms of partnerships that you would never have thought. A hospital and a community organization, where the community organization takes over looking after seniors who've been in the hospital, acute hospitals, for a long time at a much lower cost than the hospitals would have to bear. And UHN is doing some wonderful things in setting up social housing for marginalized individuals who access the ERs, along with the city and United Way GTA, and focusing on the well-known social determinants of health to help these people who are the biggest users of ER. So there's a lot of exciting projects, but what we need is your support to make the systemic level changes on a large scale. And that's what we're appealing for from all of you. The first step, of course, is signing on to the advocacy for a Canada Day of Appreciation for the nonprofit sector.
Ashe. Thank you so much, Raksha, for your remarkable actionable insights, all that you're doing, and the remarkable context you provide about the incredible work you and your colleagues are facilitating. And as always at Setsi, we close this conversation the way we began, by giving thanks to our creator, by giving thanks to the original stewards, the various lands we're on. We give thanks to all our ancestors, all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We give thanks to all our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. Thank you so much, Raksha. I so appreciate you.
Thank you, Victor.